Live from all over this beautiful land, this is the Testosterone Zone with the fine men, Noel, Keith, and Steve. Take it, boys!
That's cool, man. That's really cool.
Yeah, I thought so. So, well, listen, this is our special 25th anniversary, if you want to call it that, episode. This is episode 25, and so hey, it's Keith and Noel and Steve. How y'all doing?
We're doing good.
Very
Can't
good,
believe
good.
that people stuck with us for 25 episodes. It's awesome.
I know,
Yeah.
and we have hit at least 6 countries, and at least almost half of the U.S. now. Except Louisiana.
Yeah.
Right.
Still
Well, maybe by this time, by the time episode 25 comes around, we're kind of recording this a little early because we know we've got some things coming up, and but we're hoping that by this time Louisiana will listen in if Daryl gives enough jabs to people.
Yeah.
So we appreciate him being on that episode. So tell us what we had an idea for this episode, Steve. Tell us kind of what we're gonna do.
You know, we thought we would reflect back on, you know, our favorite moments, favorite discussions that we've had, our favorite guests. And so, you know, we thought that we just individually sort of identify, you know, here's my favorite moment. And I'll start. And my favorite moment still to this day, and I listen to this episode weekly, is episode 3 and the uncontrollable laughter. And
that's one of my favorites too.
I agree.
I hope our listeners enjoy that near as much as we do going back to listen to it, because that was a tough episode for us to record because we just couldn't find our rhythm on that one. And it turned into hilarity for us. And, you know, if you haven't listened to that episode, please do. And I know Keith's going to put in a little clip in here.
Oh, absolutely. That goes without question. That was one of the funniest things ever. And I tell you, honestly, you know, the first couple of episodes, we were just kind of like, we don't know what to do, but we're just going to kind of introduce it a couple of times. I really think that laughing moment right there kind of broke the shield a little bit. And it was like our shields came down and we finally became ourselves. And even though it was still not our capstone episode, but it was still one of those that finally just said, okay, let's just be ourselves and have some fun with this, you know? Yeah. And so I just, you're right, man. And so here's the clip, and we want you to enjoy this with us.
I suck at this.
You're doing just fine. I'm good. Oh, okay.
Well, hello everybody again, and welcome to the 3rd edition of the Testosterone podcast.
Welcome.
We're glad you decided to join us.
Super glad.
I'm lightheaded. Hang on. Okay. That's getting hard.
I can't breathe.
This is all being recorded too. This is awesome. Oh my god. Okay. Oh,
I can't.
Okay.
Okay, so there you go. So that is thanks for that, Steve. That's a great addition. I love that episode. Noel, what about you? What is one of the ones that stand out to you?
Well, Steve kind of stole mine, so
of course that's why he went first. You know this.
I think one of the moments that I remember though was the we were talking about the stowaways in the airplane.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what episode that was, but we were doing some live Googling and stuff on the internet when we discovered that there's actually a Wikipedia page that lists all of the previous times that particular thing had happened where they got stowaways. And
yes.
To me, it was like what in the world were people thinking? But that was like I said, that was one of my favorites that I remember from previous episodes.
That one was that. I'm trying to think of which episode.
It was very early on,
was
maybe
that
one or two, but
yeah,
you know, the thing that blew me away about Noel's search was that there's actually a lot of people successful doing that, more than we'd ever realized there would be.
There's actually a Wikipedia for this.
Yeah,
I think. Well, okay. So it might have been episode 5 because episode 5 talks about that we have facts, an interesting fact in history.
Yeah.
So that might have been episode
Yeah.
5. Was it the burger episode, Noel?
I can't remember, man.
Yeah, I bet it was. But either way, I'll put in a clip and we'll make sure that we let people. I kind of consider this also the ADD episode for those people just joining us, so they can kind of get a summary of what to listen to. So that's great.
That's great.
So, and now that we've researched, we know this comes from episode 2. Enjoy.
Oh my god! I'm looking at the. I just Googled stowaway flights, or what did I just Google? Stowaway airplane survived. And there's a Wikipedia page that has a list of wheel well stowaway flights.
No way.
I'm serious. Back to 1946.
Is it a long list?
Yeah. There's a 12-year-old back in 1946 that survived. And there's a August 5th, 1947, a 30-year-old male from Lisbon to Natal, wherever the hell that is, survived in a DC-3. And this is all landing gear stowaways.
Wow.
That is crazy.
Yeah, like when do you know to let go of the landing gear because the thing's about to open?
Yeah, well, that's a good point. Oh, there's several in here that have died. There's one dude that died because he froze.
That makes sense.
I can imagine.
Fell to his two people did it. Two 17-year-old males in 1969. 69.
Good times.
One survived, and a second fell to his death. That would have been weird. Bobby.
Hey, Bobby.
Where
you
forgot, go, Bobby?
You forgot the parachute.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So the guy was going up to see Steve in Alaska.
Yeah. We'll make it 2 minutes in that landing gear compartment.
Wow, that's crazy. I can't believe this many people have tried it.
I can't believe that's actually
a lot of people have died. There's
Google. That's
I know.
Why does it not surprise me?
Golly. Yeah, while we were talking about it, trying to figure out how many people have done this, I was like, well, shoot, just go to Google.
That's
enough.
Crazy.
Google is our friend.
That's wild, man.
Google's our friend. Is right.
Friend. Yeah, sorry. Every once in a while, we have to make fun of Steve because he's got really bad internet connection, and it sounds like the most weird lag. And so if you hear Noel and I start giggling whenever Steve starts talking, it's probably because there's some sort of weird digital thing going on that you won't hear on this podcast with the tools that we're recording. But man, I wished you could because it's really funny. So.
It is really funny. So I'm glad you said that because the intermittent bursts of laughter from Keith and I, that explains it because it sounds like Steve is.
If we're all going to be on this testosterone together as dudes, we've got to explain why we're laughing. Exactly. That's a bro code, I think. So.
Right. Sorry, Steve. We're not laughing. We're not laughing at you. We're laughing with you. We are laughing at you.
We definitely are. It's totally at your expense, and we thank you for
it. Glad to help.
You're awesome. Oh my gosh. So that's what we're going to call our just why part of the episodes, because we just want to ask ourselves why would you do this? So I'll tell you my favorite. And this is bar none. So we have had a segment that was really it's been kind of a fun segment all the way through. This is teenage correspondent thing. And, we've done everything from reversing it on them. We've done everything from doing polls on our best. And really, so our polls, we did a great poll to see who we thought was the best teenage correspondent. And I really think the Talladega Talk episode with both the teenage female and male correspondents, that to me, Steve, our laughter in episode 3 was really contagious. If I'm having a bad day, I'll tell you, I'm listening to that, and I'm listening to the Hundo P laughter in episode 2.5. That's the Talladega Talk. And without a doubt, when the female teenage correspondent starts giggling, I can't stop. I just start laughing so hard. It is like contagious laughter. And so that to me just stands out. And so here's a clip of that. And we've got to share this one. You have a word or phrase for us too. So we have to be smart this episode and learn 2. So we have skirts. What's your word or phrase?
Oh, this is probably going to sound really weird, but it's used at like my school at least. Okay. I don't know about anywhere else. That's but my word is Hundo P.
Oh my gosh.
I want to hear that again.
Okay, I need a spelling or something. I have.
I can use this in a sentence right now.
Oh my gosh. Okay, dude, you're gonna.
Yeah, you may need to say that again.
Yeah, you're gonna have to repeat that and spell it or something.
Do I need to spell it?
Yeah, whatever, or just say it again.
Hundo P.
Okay, dude. So you're gonna have to use that in a sentence because the sentences I'm thinking about are probably not appropriate. So
That's right.
Well, it's kind of hard to use in a sentence because it would be better used. It would be better used in the answer to a question.
Okay. So like, how like what kind of question should I ask you so I can get a response? I don't even know.
Can we get a spelling first? I still don't know what the word is.
You can pull this in.
Well, I mean,
Just like, okay, pretend somebody asked you a question, and then how would you answer it?
well, only problem is if I put it in a sentence, it'll give away the definition.
You're trying to make us cooler.
Well, aren't you supposed to guess the definition?
No.
I see what you're saying. So what I think it is, I don't even know. How do you spell it? Give me a rough spelling of this.
HUNDO-P.
Hundo P. P-E-E? P is in Paul?
Yes, essentially.
Okay. So P like a green pea in the garden.
Yeah, except it's just the letter P.
Okay, so
Can I go?
yes, please do. I'm hurting over here.
Please. We're gonna have to pull this car off the road soon because I got a Hundo P brewing. Did I get it right?
Okay.
No.
How far off was
No.
No.
He says no.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
That was classic, and yeah, Hundo P is probably one of the words that I use the most still. And
And you know what's funny about that? You said there is 0% chance you would use it in the episode.
that and Savage.
Yeah, I listened to
I use Savage all the time.
Those are the two that you use.
I'll tell my employees, man, that's so savage.
Nice. I use hard pass like it's going out of style. I've used skirt, so I've used that quite a bit. Let's get out of here. Let's skirt. So, what, Noel? Have you used any?
I mean, I've used the Hundo P before, believe it or not.
Yes.
Pretty.
It's just so unique. It's like it makes people stop in their tracks and go, "Wait, what?"
Wait. I've done the hard pass too. I've done that several times. So.
Yes. So, okay, so now we'll go in reverse. Since I went last, I'll go first on the second one. I really liked Steve, the meteorologist episode.
Yeah.
I think that it was a lot of fun. His teenage correspondent was so fun being on that episode. I thought he did great. And so I really thought that was good education. I can't stop laughing about what did he say about the car? The Chinese takeout box. Oh my gosh, I laugh about that. I mean, like now every time I see that kind of car, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can see that. So Steve, thank you, and here's a little clip of that.
Can the Testosterone crew join you on a storm chasing trip?
Yeah, I always try to have a few empty spots in my car whenever I storm chase. And the main thing about chasing is you should never chase alone. I made the mistake, I think it was 2005. I was out speaking to a group in Silverton in the Southeast Panhandle. We had storms pop up around Childress, and I decided to go in the car that I was driving to the town was a Scion XB. If you've seen those, they look like Chinese takeout boxes. Unreal.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I drove to Dalhart one time and this huge front came through. I got 12 miles to a gallon driving to Dalhart. I got 62 driving back in the wind.
Oh my God.
Horribly aerodynamic. So I got down there, and this before, I had Google Maps and everything in my phone and car. And I was just looked at a map, and it was down around Paducah, Texas, which is south of Childress. Thought that this highway went due east and west. There was a storm north of me, had baseball hail in it. And I thought, no problem. I'll just drive down Highway 70. It'll be just north of me. Everything's great. Got about 8 miles east of Paducah, and all of a sudden the road turns to the north. I'm like, oh, goodness, this is not good. And
that's not good.
when you've seen a hook echo before in a storm, that's where the rain and hail and sometimes tornado is. That wrapped around me, so then I had hail completely around me, and I thought, this is not going to end well.
Oh, nice.
So I got underneath a tree, one of the few out there, and the baseball started falling, baseball-size hail, cracked the windshield, cracked just about every window in the car, beat that thing to smithereens. But and that was a lesson for me. Hey, you need a navigator. You need someone to look at the maps and help you go along. So yeah, I never try to go by myself. If it's my youngest son, if it's my oldest son, if it's my wife, I always try to take somebody. And she's chased with me before, and she thought that chasing was a little bit different before we went out. Afterwards, she's like, there really is science to this, and it was. We got to see a bunch of cows scatter and lightning hit a telephone pole, and just all of a sudden the beef ran in all directions. So.
That just never gets old.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
All right, who's next? You got any others?
I'll go. There's one of the moments. I think this was the very first time that we brought Uranus into the podcast was when Steve was talking about seeing this was the episode when we had Scott on.
Alaska Connection,
yeah, the Alaska Connection. That's right. And we were talking about seeing the Northern Lights and stuff, and that was the first time that we brought Uranus into the podcast, and it's been here ever since.
Yes, that's good, and that was a fun episode. Just hearing the stories of Alaska. And, just a neat connection, and not now knowing that.
Yeah,
I mean, Steve, you're now a veteran being there. So yeah, let's hang on before we keep talking about it. Here's the clip of that moment, because we've got to include a Uranus moment.
Now it's the fabric of the testosterone.
So I remember you telling me a story, just for everybody listening. We were roommates through college, so we've got some short stories we can share and most that we can't. So anyway, the story you were telling me was you'd be sleeping on the ropes out of exhaustion, right? And then sometimes you'd be able to look up and see the aurora.
Oh, absolutely. Especially toward the end of the summer, where you get closer to August, and then you start to have a better balance of light and dark, right? Because in the summertime, it's just light all the time. So as you get, as those seasons begin to change, and you're able to kind of see the night sky for a while, it's just incredible to watch the aurora borealis. It really is just rivers of light in the sky, and it's just different colors, mainly greens and blues and some whites, and every once in a while you'll get some pink. It's shimmering in there, but I tell you what, it's one of those experiences that if you ever get a chance to see it, it'll really humble you really fast. It makes you feel like that you're incredibly small in the universe.
I can imagine.
Yeah, cool.
I hope someday I get a chance to witness that. Now, Steve, we asked you a couple of times ago. You haven't seen it yet, have you?
Yeah, I mean, same thing that Scott said. As we get further into the summer and later into the summer, that I've all the locals have told me that's whenever you'll see it the most, and so I can't wait. I mean, I know it's you just barely see it down here. We're just almost too far south to be able to participate in it. But you know what? You never know. Might end up a little further north in Alaska. Might be able to get a little better view of it.
I hope you get a chance to. So, man, that'd be pretty awesome to witness.
Yeah, that's cool.
We'll have to take a road trip when that happens. Hopefully, it's not by car, because that'd be hard. But yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds good.
Scott, did you ever see Uranus up there?
Well, let's see. I may have to take a hard pass on that one.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
Extra.
Nice.
Well played.
I think Scott just served Noel some extra.
Yeah.
It's a little extra.
Steve, you're now a veteran in Alaska, right?
Yeah.
So after almost half a year, can you believe it?
It's crazy how time flies. I mean,
It really does.
I feel like just yesterday I was shoveling snow off my car.
I can imagine. And so it's that's the other thing is we had the fun weather things going on for a little while too, in each episode. So those were good. They kind of got to where, okay, we're going redundant. So let's just copy and paste, which you're right. But it was always funny to hear what Alaska was holding in store for that day, So,
I've really enjoyed all the different food segments and, things that we shared all throughout. And I've learned a lot from each individual conversation we've had about the food. But I think the one I've enjoyed the most was in episode 7, the Alaska connection with Scott and his recipe for salmon.
Oh, yeah.
And I still got some of that stored away in the freezer. And
that was 8. That was episode 8, by the way.
Okay. Yeah. And great stuff. And, if you haven't had a chance to listen to Scott's recipe on how to make a grilled salmon, then listen to it and treat yourself.
We're just throwing it in right now. Let's just throw it in right now.
Go for it.
Okay, here we go.
The man food of the week.
Scott, I understand you have some food. Now, Steve has recently relocated from Texas to Alaska, so there's not the abundance of beef that we have down here in Texas. So I understand you have some food that you might be able to, some recipes or for some man foods you might be able to share with Steve for how to eat in Alaska. Is that right? Did I get that right?
It could be. Here's the deal. Here in Texas, you're right. It's all about steaks and ribs and pork and, boy, you name it, we eat it. So the thing is that there's not an abundance of that in Alaska. And so I figured that, you really need to know the best way to cook salmon when you're in Alaska.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And, having spent a little time up there, the best way that I have found, just, again, to each his own as far as taste goes, but one of the best ways that I found for grilling salmon, of course, first just get it filleted down. And then once you have a nice big fillet, cut those into steak-sized pieces, and then put those meat side down into a container of soy sauce.
So you chop them up into cube pieces, like bite.
No, like steak-sized pieces.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Probably 3-4 inches across.
Right. Okay, I've got you. My bad.
And then put that meat side down, skin side up, right, into the soy sauce, and just fill that like a casserole dish or something like that full of soy sauce. Cover it, and then just let it chill for probably at least a couple hours. If you have a chance to do it overnight, that'd be awesome. And then take it out of there, and then when you put it on the grill, flip it over skin side down, and grill the salmon until it's nice and done. When you take it off the grill, what I like to do is just have them there on a platter, and then I just melt a whole stick of butter, and by that I mean a whole stick of butter. And then
you can't go wrong there.
And then throw in some parsley, and then just drench that grilled salmon in the butter. I tell you what, man, you just cannot go wrong with that. I mean, it's super simple. Just throw it on the grill, make it happen. And there's lots of other variations, of course, that you get from lots of different ideas or whatever. And some people put mayonnaise on it, and some people put lemon stuff on it, which is all great. But I'm telling you, just simple soy sauce, butter on top.
Yeah,
can't beat it.
That's great.
Wow. That does sound good.
Steve, for Easter, you're going to have salmon and bosky fries.
Absolutely. So Scott, how long do you keep those on the grill? What? How do you know when it's done?
Well, the fats in the meat will actually start to kind of boil out the sides, and you'll be able to tell whenever the fats are kind of starting to turn white on the meat. And then usually I just take mine and flip it over skin side up just for a couple of seconds, just to kind of sear that top of the salmon there before I take them off the grill. But fish cooks pretty quickly. It doesn't take long.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm doing that for sure.
That sounds good.
I cooked that for the I cooked that one for the family after that episode, and it made me do that, what you just did. So that and so I've made the full combination of that the Bosky fries, right?
Yeah.
And so like it's just, who knew that fish and Bosky fries would go so well?
Man, Bosky fries goes with anything, man. You can eat it with
That's
cereal.
true.
It's good stuff.
That's I don't know if I'm going to try that one. I'm going to take your word for that one. So, okay, what other episode sticks out to you?
When we had the Star Wars show or the Star Wars episode, and I really spent that entire episode fighting over whether I wanted to mention the Master Vader comment or not. And I was so proud of myself for doing that. I mean,
you really represented well. I was impressed.
It went over like a lead balloon, though. I gotta say.
Yeah, it sure did. But internally, I was cracking up. So that's all that. Yeah. Let's do a little snippet of the 501st Legion is a really cool organization. Obviously Star Wars, but it represents a lot of folks. So, here's a little story from our friend John that tells a little bit about some of the things that 501st does.
I get to meet all kinds of people that you'd never think I'd be able to meet, and just great opportunities and things like that. So it's all for charity, which is awesome. So anyway, just other than my work and my family, it's my life's work. I love what I do. And I did 49 appearances last year.
Wow.
Good grief.
So what type, you've done things including hospital visits, movie premieres. Tell us outside of movie premieres, what are some of the other, philanthropic events that you've supported as this role?
Probably the most fun. Our number one charity is Make-A-Wish. Mm-hmm. So we've done 3 or 4 wishes for kids that were either dying or in the process of dying or were so bad that they qualified. Even though they might not pass on, they still qualified for a wish.
That's cool.
And so we sent a kid that was in Twin Falls, Idaho, to Disney, and his one of his wishes was to see and meet Luke Skywalker. And we have several Jedi in our group, and he wanted to meet us or meet our group, and then move on to and seeing all the stuff at Disney World. And so Make-A-Wish, all expenses paid for everything for him to go and his family to go to Disney World and see all the new Star Wars stuff. This was just last year. And we got to go and do the send-off for he and his family, and they didn't know it was happening. Make-A-Wish works in conjunction with us, so they didn't even know what was going on.
That's awesome.
So I walk out with a certificate in my hand, and I hand it to the family, and they read it, and they're like, wait a sec, we're going to Disney World, all expenses paid? And the Make-A-Wish people are like, yeah, and this is Darth Vader. He wanted to give you that.
like they didn't know who you were, right?
It's just a really neat organization, and I'm really glad that we got to highlight them. I think that's one of my favorite things is, honestly, just the we've had such a broad range of topics, but they've all been, but with really, really successful people in the things that they've doing. We've had, Dr. Butler talking about the eye care, and that was 7. Then we've had Chief Caspel come on a couple of, or Caspel, I think is how he says his name. I always mess that up. I'm sorry, John. But he's been on the safety episode for 3, and then he's been on also just recently. So, and he also gave a little snippet of how to take care of your houses, and just things from technology where we've got people creating hardware that can even help people with disabilities play video games just to enjoy life a little bit.
How to smoke brisket.
How to smoke brisket, and I still need a smoker. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, come on, man. I'm bored.
And so, what are some of the ones? Some of our guests, other than the ones you've mentioned, what are some that have really stood out to you? That was fun?
I really enjoyed having Scott in the NASCAR episode.
That was just cool.
I was so many things I was curious about. How do they prepare for the races? How do they learn from each race to the next? And it was sort of interesting to learn the strategy that they use behind the race team, and they coincidentally had a pretty good finish after that episode. So I think we can take some credit for that.
It really did.
I think so too.
I was a little disappointed that he hadn't been able to drive the car or even ride in the car.
Yeah.
That was the only thing.
Yeah.
For me, I was like,
I bet he's more disappointed than we are. I bet
Yeah.
you. So.
So, Scott, I'm curious, what Daniel Suarez is in his second year, correct?
Yeah, and the Cup side, this is his second year.
So, I guess the relationship between you and him, are you just a guy that prepares the car? Are you a mentor, a coach for him? Sort of, what's y'all's relationship like?
Yeah, it's a little bit of, there's a lot of things that go into it. Definitely have to, at this point, where he is in his career, have to help a lot with, like you say, the mentoring part of it, or just working with him on, looking at data and trying to figure out how he compares to the other drivers, or, in his driving style and what he's doing. And just try to work through a lot of things like that. The senior guys that have been doing it for a while, they go to a track and they know what the car should feel like to them. They know what they're looking for, everything to do, and how, basically how they want it to feel. And they can give a lot of feedback to the team on how to get there. And with the younger guys, they go to a track and, first time or the second time or even the third time, and they don't necessarily have that feel yet. So you really got to pull hard off past notes and what the other teams are doing, different things like that, to try to give them the direction that, here's where we think you need to be for the race. And, a lot of times early on, you don't hit it right. And, you learn through that weekend, and you get your notebook built for the next time you do come back, that if it was off, which way you were off, and you try a little bit different approach the next time you go back.
Yeah.
Oh man, so that's awesome. Yeah, I've loved that. The one that I thought was really fun was when I surprised y'all with a Mancation episode.
Yeah,
so
that was cool. Yeah, that was cool.
I don't know how I kept everybody from not telling you we did that, but I had so much fun getting that ready for y'all as a surprise.
That was cool.
I know that was a little more of a personal thing just between us. That really the listeners,
yeah.
Hopefully they got a chance to maybe say we need to do that on our own. But that was a personal one that I was just saying, let's just do this for fun. And I just had a blast getting everybody from KB to record to everybody.
That was
some
neat.
of our special guests have been on Jaffo, and it was fun.
Yeah, awesome. That was cool.
So, and so let's listen a little bit of snippet about what Mancation is.
Mancation. That is an event that occurs every year with some guys who were in the Texas Tech band, and they camp out and they have a great time telling old stories around the campfire, stay in tents, and have a 3 or 4 day period of male bonding. I was invited 3 years ago and decided to go, and I've had a great time. It's great to renew those old friendships with the students who are in the band as they have become young adults, fathers, husbands, grown men working. It's neat to see the perspective of how they've changed over the years and what they now do and what they believe and how they act. And it's just an interesting development. I enjoy being a part of it. We sit around the fire and tell old stories. And, of course, the stories get bigger every year. But I think male bonding is a very, very important thing that we do. I have several male groups that I bond with, religious groups, golf groups, band groups, judges, etc. When we judge contests, we go out. There are 6 of us, and we have dinner and we talk about things. And it's just an important thing for men to do. And I'm sure women feel the same, and they probably need that relationship with other women, just like the men do. So it's a highlight of my year. I always put time on my calendar for it, and I hope that you guys are looking forward to this as much as I am. And drive safely. We'll tell some stories, and we'll have a lot of fun. Take care.
Hello, T-Zone listeners. This is Noel. I've got some exciting news to share with you. In episode 21, we reviewed a gift box Keith received from BespokePost.com. And now our good friends at BespokePost.com are giving you a chance to get your very own gift box at a 20% discount. Just surf on over to BespokePost.com. Click the Get Started button in the upper right-hand corner to get started. then you just tell them what you like, the kind of stuff you like to receive, what your interests are, and things like that. And then when you're prompted, enter in the promo code TZone20. That's TZone20. And you'll get a 20% discount and start getting these amazing boxes from bespokepost.com. I love our joke segment. I know that Steve hates it, but I love it. And to me, the number of times that Steve's been busted on his jokes is sort of one of my favorite parts of our podcast.
It really is. It is. It's kind of like the thing. It's not even planned.
Yeah. And I think
that's a good one. So
one of my favorite jokes, though, that's been told has been one of the teenage correspondents told the joke about the
bear without ears.
There you go. The bear without ears.
Okay, yeah, the teenage girl. So yeah, we'll do that joke again. That one was a good one.
Yeah.
I tell you that, like Steve, you said it before. The teenagers are making us look bad. They're way too cool.
Yeah.
We may have to rethink this. No, I'm kidding. We love having them on. That's made this show just a whole new dimension of fun. So we appreciate all of our teenage correspondents, and so yeah, let's listen to a couple of them tell jokes.
What do you call bears with no ears?
Bears with no ears.
Bears.
Yes.
I got nothing.
B.
That is good.
Someone stole my mood ring. I don't know how I feel about it.
Okay.
What do you call an alligator in a vest?
An alligator in a vest.
An investigator.
Yeah, I guess the other thought that I have, Noel and Keith, is that we started this podcast on the premise of, talking about man stuff and sharing stories and food and all this other stuff. And I gotta be honest, I think we're kicking butt at doing that stuff, and it's been a blast. And we've gotten some good feedback. We definitely appreciate the tons of listeners, and
I agree.
The wide majority of the country that's listening to us now is, we're humbled by it. At the same time, it's an absolute blast for us.
Yeah, we started this on the premise, like you said, with that, and just the fact we want to get together and hang out. We just don't have the avenue as far as we are apart, and it's and the fun thing is all of our buddies that are on here, they've had so much fun with this. They'll get on and say, hey, I thought of this, and hey, I just did this, and I ordered this product in the review, and oh my gosh, I'm hooked on it, and I love that, and I never knew about this. I mean, everybody's having fun. They'll even say in their Facebook comments some of the teenage correspondent words. Remember, like, I saw a hard pass. I've seen all sorts of them. It's hilarious, and so. That's awesome. That's what's been fun.
I thought it was really cool. We had one of our listeners join us. I think it was episode. I don't forget what number it was, but
Tanner, huh?
When Tanner came on and was with us, and I love the kind of the back and forth between him. He obviously had it out for Steve from the get go. And his first,
he was ready.
Bring it, Tanner.
You stole his joke. You stole his joke, man.
He came out guns blazing, man, from the get go. I was like, I like this guy, man. He can come back.
Yeah.
My daughter's high school, they bought one of those the cannons to shoot like promotional items and stuff to the fans in the stands during the game. And the first game, they were clearly did not do any practicing or anything, and they did not know how fast that thing or how powerful those guns were. And thankfully, they shot it over everybody, but they shot this football way out of the stands. And I mean, it was picking up speed as it was flying over the top row. So, I mean, it was everybody was like, whoa, okay, well, we need to pay attention so we don't die from a
no kidding.
And it was pretty funny.
But Tanner, what do you think?
I have a question for Steve there.
Sure.
So, do you think that can is strong enough to launch a hot dog into Uranus?
It's possible. It is possible. And Tanner picking up like he's been here all his life. Nice.
All right. And and he had a blast, and hopefully he'll come on some more because he's just, and that's what's fun, and hopefully other listeners that are listening, we would love to have everybody on. That's what makes this fun. Is our goal is to just have a community of people, like the whole thing. Again, we're going to start this with what the heck is this about? Your presentation of what the testosterone zone is, Noel, and that's what this is. Is we want a community of dudes that can come in, let their guard down, and talk about stuff they love. And, a Daryl's presentation about, how he rests, that's a perfect point of what we're trying to do here.
The idea of rest does not mean sit on your butt and do nothing. As a matter of fact, for most people, if they did that, that's only going to frustrate them. They're just going to think about the things they could be doing. But then we studied it from the concept of rest meaning an activity that you did to create restfulness. Okay. So I started, asking questions and thinking about it. And then a guy looked at me and he goes, "What do you do, Daryl, that creates rest?" And I said, "To create rest for myself, I barbecue." He goes, "I was waiting for you to think that out." He goes, "I wasn't going to tell you." Yes. For you, when you're behind that barbecue pit, you are resting. You are creating rest. So you need to do that as much as you can because you create a state of restfulness for yourself. And that's how you get your rest.
And when Daryl was talking about relaxing and stuff, I think this is, for me at least, this is a way that I relax. Like this is a rest for me. And it's just hanging out, that's all this is, just having a chance to kind of sit down and hang out with you guys for an hour or so every week has been rest for me. So I'm thoroughly enjoying this. It doesn't feel like it is a lot of time and everything. It's a time commitment, but it's fun. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. So
I really have, and each episode it's gotten more fun and more smooth, and it's right. I agree. This every time we record, it fills my sails back up for the next week. It's just great. Yeah. So we've come a long way, but honestly, the next couple of episodes is really one of the reasons we started this.
Yeah.
What we're talking, and I'm not going to give it away, but stay tuned the next couple of episodes, because really that idea of this episode coming up, and you'll know what it is because we're going to talk about it big time. But that was really the thing that said we've got to let other people know about this because it has worked for us, and we had so much fun with this last football season. And so we're definitely going to, I'm not even going to spoil the thunder, but I'm excited because that is really the bread and butter of what this, so we haven't even really gotten started into the meat of what we've tried to do with this thing yet. We've just had some fun. So, it's going to be good. So, and speaking of that, I thought that the tech fanatics page was a blast. Having them on and John on from them, it was the Guns Up Nation. That was a blast too, and they've had a really there's just having again another group of people that have good classy people that have a good respect of obviously they have some fun excitement about sports, but respectful, and that's the way society's not that way anymore, so it's nice to have some of that.
Right on.
Right.
So Yep. So I'm excited for the future of this, and I'm excited to do the future of this with my bros. So thank you guys.
Glad we're doing this. Has been
fun. Like I say, we don't want to go too long in this episode. We just wanted to give you our listeners a snapshot of what we think is some of the best parts of our first 24 or so episodes, and we really have enjoyed sharing our time with you. And Steve, final thoughts. What do you think?
I was thinking the best way to end this episode is if we just play some of our favorite jokes that we've told, and whether they went well or went mostly poorly for me, then I think that'd be a great way to end this episode. So, hey, thanks everybody for listening to 25 of these things, and we appreciate it more than you know. So, we'll see you all next time on episode 26.
And we hope you enjoy these jokes. So, I just wanted you all to know, I used to have a job at the calendar factory, but I got the sack. You want to know why?
Why?
I took a couple of days off.
Hey, guys, what do Eskimos get when they sit on a block of ice too long?
This is appropriate for you, Steve. Let's think.
Is this the Uranus joke?
Let's
Talking the
let's
same
hear it.
region. Polaroids.
Why would you move to Switzerland?
Why would you move to Switzerland?
Why would you move to Switzerland?
That's a good question.
I don't know. Why would you move to Switzerland?
Well, the flag's a big plus.
Do you know why you never see elephants hiding up in trees?
Why?
Because they're really good at it.
What type of sandals do frogs wear?
What kind of sandals do frogs wear? I don't know.
I don't know.
Open-toed.
What?
They don't have to be great as long as it brings it.
I had a dream that I was a muffler last night. Oh, I woke up exhausted.
You know what ET is short for? Because he's got little tiny legs. All right, Steve, do you have a joke of the day this week? Last week you didn't, so your homework was to come up with one. So
That's right, and
do
we're
have
holding you
one?
accountable,
Yes,
bro.
let's
We're holding you accountable.
So no
Yes,
pressure.
I do have one. I spent hours researching these jokes, practicing
Good.
them.
Oh,
Can't wait
and
to hear
I
it.
think you'll find yourself to be very impressed and pleased with this joke.
All right.
So here we go.
All right.
Is that how you lead off all jokes?
Yes. Yes.
I'm going to set the expectations super, super high.
I think this will be pleasing to you.
Yes. If you don't laugh, I will be disappointed.
There you go.
I dishonor to my family.
Yes. That's right.
Okay, sorry.
So here we go. What did Beethoven do when he died?
Decomposed.
Damn it.
Oh, Steve, you just got owned.
Tune in next week when Steve comes up with a new joke.
You and I
Hey, thanks again for listening to the Testosterone Zone. We sure had a blast visiting with you. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe, leave us some feedback, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
All Testosterone podcast episodes are written and produced by Noel, Keith, and Steve unless otherwise noted.
The opinions expressed in the Testosterone podcast are our own and not those of our employers, families, parents, kids, dogs, cats, your mom, or any other entity Noel, Keith, or Steve are affiliated with now, in the past, or in the future, or ever.
No, you have to stop it, right? Don't you have to stop it, Noel?
Yeah.